Your group also describes this law as harmful to democracy and to the country's development. Why so?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and good evening to your listeners. I think there's one thing I want to draw attention to before I move to this question, is the fact that advocacy is not opinionated. Advocacy seeks to drive the interest or a cause of something in the extent of causing a change. It can be policy, which is systemic. It can be an individual form of advocacy, which a group come together to make a claim or push for an agenda. And it's informed by research, it's informed by activities, it's informed by data. And then there's self-advocacy. So LGBT persons could have done a self-advocacy, but our group moves beyond self-advocacy to look at the impact of this bill on the group, on the society. So we've sat down, and that's the sad aspect of it, that we've sat down and a group of people with a particular interest have pushed for a law that affects the entire country. So we have a bill or a law which has not been assented yet that talks about the fact that if same-sex relationships, it's anal sex or any forms of unwanted sexual activity as they have defined in the law, it's just limited to queer persons. But then when anal sex, which can be detrimental to the health, as they are claiming, also to women when they are forced to have anal sex in heterosexual relationships. But we are saying that, well, with the power in our hands, we can discriminate against a certain gender whilst we give certain limitations to a certain group. We also have instances where people's lives are going to be monitored. So at first, queer people have lived with us. Actually, there's evidence to show that queer people have always lived with us. We have gone to school. The reasons why we have norms and practices in our schools which had sanctions around these relationships, the fact that they have always been with us and we thought that we should be regulated. But with the start of this bill and the discussions around it, hostility has increased against the community to the extent that even non-queer persons who exhibit effeminate characteristics are right now tagged. You go to the job place, your movement is monitored. People are discriminated against. An employer can decide that because you exhibit effeminate characteristics, I cannot take you or employ you in my job just in case I am tagged for employing somebody that is queer. Because by walking about, I do not claim to be a queer person. You will never know. If you never catch me and act, you can never know. This has implications for people's livelihoods, people's economic participation, people's engagement in education. Now we are saying that academic institutions must out all students who are assumed or perceived or are found to be queer. You are denying them right to education. There's equal access to education that must be for everyone. And this has implications for the lives of these young women, young men that will have to go to school. It has implications for employers. You are saying that the client-doctor confidentiality, if you're a doctor and you have a client coming to you and it tells you that, well, I am queer and because of this and that, I need this kind of services, I must be ousted. And it has implications for brain drain. We've realized that in most countries, people who feel that they are being targeted are leaving. There are a lot of us, if nobody tells you that they are queer, you will not know. So there are skilled people we have trained that may have to leave this country at this point because they do not feel safe. And these are the economic issues that we are raising. And the fact that this bill does not only apply to queer people, and we are at risk. As a parent, you have to give up your child. You have to report your child who is found to be queer. And this child may be the breadwinner of the family. What do you do as a pastor or as a priest? If somebody comes to you and comes to confess, now you have to report that person. So what are the mental stress, the torture we are going to take a lot of people who are not necessarily queer through these phases has implication, and some of the words that are being used also, for example, if you're saying that promotion is subjective. As an academic, my specialization is in sexualities. And as part of sexualities, I do LGBT studies. As public health workers, we need to talk about some risk, even around sexualities, and it may include talking about queer people and some of the support that they will need. It is for the good of the country and for us to be able to look at the various groups, their needs, and how to meet them so that it does not become a problem. At this point, it is going to be very difficult to engage in such conversations. And you're saying that who willingly funds research fees policy? Research fees the betterment of the lives of people. So if I get funding and to research on queer issues, and there's implication. If I make known that I'm researching into this field, I'm looking for these kind of people to talk to, there's implication. So you're indirectly restricting production of knowledge, participation, and empowerment of people and how to engage their lives. And these are the things we are saying is dangerous. If we already have a law that says that if you engage in a certain sexual act, you are going to be arrested, why do we have to create new ones that has to affect an entire population, a whole country, and limit the rights, the voices of people and their ability to engage, and redefine laws to suit? And the redefinition of laws, which has implications for other groups, such as genders, such as women, and how they can engage even in sexual relations in their bedroom.
Sam George is here.
Report. And also, if I'm a mother and I go into a hotel with a daughter or from a friend, and we want to stay in a hotel as two females, right now when you're booking a hotel, you have to call, and then presumably the hotel has to ask you, are you going to be two females living in a room? Are you queer? All these restrictions, all this discomfort that are coming with it are things that we think that we should have paid attention to before we push for something.